All right, welcome back to the deep dive. It is Friday, January 30, 2026. And, usually when we sit down to look at government documents, it feels like we're acting like historians.
Looking backwards. Yeah, dusting things off.
Exactly. We're looking at regulations from 5 years ago or analyzing reports on things that have already happened. But today we are looking at a ticking clock.
A very loud, very expensive ticking clock.
We have a sources sought notice from the U.S. Department of State right here.
Yeah.
And the deadline for responses is February 13th, 2026. I mean, it is just 2 weeks from today.
Right.
And we aren't talking about a contract for, office supplies. This is for something called ExecTech.
Which I have to admit sounds a little bit like a villainous corporation in a cyberpunk novel.
It really does.
But in reality, it stands for Executive Secretariat Information Technology Support Services.
A bit of a mouthful, but it's essentially the nervous system of the State Department.
That's a great way to put it. We're looking at a potential blanket purchase agreement, a BPA, with a ceiling estimated somewhere between $100 and $150 million. Wow. And the mission is incredibly specific. Keep the Secretary of State and the department's top leadership online, secure, and operational. 204/7. Anywhere in the world.
And that phrase, anywhere in the world, that's doing a lot of heavy lifting here.
It's everything.
Because when most people hear IT support, they think of, the guy in a polo shirt asking if you've tried turning it off and on again.
Right, the standard help desk.
But reading through this notice, the scope it's radically different. This is what the document calls white glove service.
That is the key term. White glove, in this context, acts as this massive filter for who can actually do this job. It implies a zero-failure environment. I mean, if you or I have a computer issue, we submit a ticket, we wait, maybe 4 hours? Maybe a day. It's annoying, but life goes on.
Right. But if the Secretary of State is on a secure video call with a foreign premier and that link drops, well, that's not just an annoyance.
That is a diplomatic incident.
Yeah.
Precisely. And the document explicitly links this IT support to mission execution and executive leadership decision-making. The vendor isn't just fixing printers, they are ensuring the continuity of the diplomatic arm of the United States government.
That is a unique pressure cooker environment.
Absolutely.
So let's define the client here, because State Department is so broad. We're talking about the SES, the Executive Secretariat. Who are they?
So think of SES as the coordination hub for the Secretary. They manage the paper flow, the schedule, the crisis response. Basically, the information that actually gets to the Secretary's desk.
They're the gatekeepers.
They are. So ExecTech supports them, the deputy secretaries, the undersecretaries. It's a relatively small user base compared to the whole department, but these are the VIPs.
The principals, as the document calls them. And the operational tempo here is it's intense. 24/7/365 support.
And that is not just a figure of speech. They need on-site desk-side support. The document even notes that because of security classifications, a lot of this work physically cannot be done remotely.
You have to be in the room.
You have to be in the room where it happens. And that brings us to the incumbent. Right now, a company called Improvix Technologies, Inc. is doing this work. Their task orders expire in May 2026.
So this notice is the government doing its market research.
Exactly. They're checking the pulse of the industry, asking, who else is out there? Who has the capacity to take this over? And it's not just about having smart engineers. It's about handling the just-in-time nature of executive support.
Just in time. That's a manufacturing term, right, for supply chains.
That is. But applying it to IT implies that the technology has to be ready exactly when the principal needs it, not a moment before, not a moment later, and it has to be customized.
Right. It mentions support tailored to senior leaders.
Which requires a level of emotional intelligence and situational awareness you just don't find in a standard help desk script. You have to know when to step in, when to step back, and how to fix a problem without derailing a high-level meeting.
Okay, let's dig into the actual hardware and software, because this is where it gets really cinematic. I was struck by this section on executive support services, specifically the mention of flyaway kits.
Oh, yeah. That's always the most fascinating part of diplomatic IT.
It sounds like something out of a spy movie.
Yeah.
Mobile and flyaway kit support. Practically, what is in one of those kits?
It's basically a portable, self-contained, secure communications node. I mean, think about the use case. The secretary travels to a location where the local infrastructure is either non-existent or, more likely, completely compromised by hostile intelligence services.
So you can't just hop on the hotel Wi-Fi.
You absolutely cannot trust the hotel Wi-Fi
Yeah.
or the local cell towers. So you bring your own classified internet. These kits have secure laptops, encryption devices, satellite links, secure cellular bridges, everything.
And the power systems to run it all.
Of course. The vendor has to maintain these kits, keep them updated, and guarantee that when that case is opened in some hotel room in a crisis zone, it just works. Green lights, instantly.
And the document connects this directly to global travel and crisis response. So it's as much about logistics as it is about tech.
Oh, absolutely. You have to get this gear through customs, keep it physically secure, and make it work in potentially hostile environments.
Which ties into the VTC, the video teleconferencing requirements. I mean, we've all become experts in Zoom and Teams, but this is a different level.
A whole different universe. They mention high visibility executive engagements at the top secret level.
Top secret video calls.
Yep. That means managing multiple bridge types, complex encryption keys, and ensuring the audio and video quality is flawless. Again, if the president calls the secretary, you can't have the audio garbling.
No.
And the document mentions cross-stakeholder coordination, which is a very polite way of saying you have to get the State Department's tech to talk to the White House's tech or the Pentagon's tech instantly.
The interoperability nightmare.
It's the hardest part of federal IT. And this vendor has to troubleshoot it in real time.
Okay, but for all this specialized, almost bespoke stuff, the document also makes it clear they don't want to be running legacy junk. I was surprised by how modern the engineering requirements are. They're asking for infrastructure as code.
This is a massive shift we're seeing across government, and it's right here in black and white. They explicitly list Terraform and CloudFormation.
So for anyone listening who might not be a DevOps engineer, infrastructure as code basically means you're not manually configuring servers anymore, right?
Yeah.
You're writing code that defines the server.
Exactly. Instead of an admin clicking buttons, which is slow and prone to human error, you write a script that says, I need a server with these exact specs. You run the script, the cloud provider builds it. If it crashes, you just run the script again and it's back in minutes.
Which is critical for that continuity of government goal they keep mentioning.
It's the whole point. It's about operational resilience. They also mention PowerShell for automation. They want to automate the boring stuff so the humans can focus on the crisis stuff.
And they're not married to one cloud provider, which I found interesting. They list AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud.
Multi-cloud competency, that is a very, very high bar. Usually an organization just picks one and sticks with it. It's easier. But state is prioritizing redundancy over simplicity.
It prevents vendor lock-in, too.
It does. But it also triples the complexity for the IT staff. You need engineers who are fluent in the architectures of all three major hyperscalers.
And finding someone with a top-secret clearance who is also an expert in AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud.
That's a unicorn.
A very small talent pool.
Tiny. And that's going to be one of the biggest challenges for whoever wins this contract. Staffing. It's not just tech skills, it's tech skills plus clearance plus the personality to handle high-stress VIP support.
We should talk about the software side, too. They mention things like SPB cascades, and then, in the same breath, Microsoft Power Apps. It feels like a collision of two different eras.
It is. SPP Cascades is probably some specific legacy departmental application for managing diplomatic cables or something. But then you have Power Apps, which is Microsoft's new low-code platform for building modern apps quickly.
So the vendor has to keep the old mainframes humming, metaphorically, while also building new, agile tools on the fly.
And patching everything. The document mentions patching, health checks, data backup, all the unglamorous janitorial work of IT. But you miss one patch, and that's how you get hacked.
Well, speaking of getting hacked, let's pivot to security. This is where the document shifts from difficult to paranoid, and for good reason.
The security requirements are just absolute walls. First, the company itself, the legal entity, has to have a top-secret facility clearance level, an FCL.
Which means you can't just be a startup with a few smart coders. The company has to be vetted.
Deeply vetted. You need a facility security officer, the infrastructure to handle classified material, and then the people. Pretty much everyone needs a top-secret clearance.
And then there's the compliance regime. You see the usual suspects, FISMA, FedRAMP, NIST. But there was one specific tool mentioned that caught my eye, Archangel.
Yes, Archangel. The document says it's used to support department systems in accordance with NIST SP 853 Revision 5.
So NIST 853 is That's the Bible's security controls for federal systems, right? It's hundreds and hundreds of rules.
It is. It's thousands of checkboxes. And Archangel appears to be the State Department's tool for tracking all of them. So the vendor can't just secure the server. They have to prove it's secure inside Archangel to get their authority to operate.
Which leads to this fascinating conflict they actually mentioned in the text. You have the Bureau of Diplomatic Security. They're the internal watchdogs.
The red team, basically.
If they find a vulnerability, the vendor has to fix it. But at the same time, the vendor's trying to provide white glove service to a diplomat who just wants their iPad to work.
That is the central tension of this whole contract. The document actually asks for experience advising on technical and governance challenges unique to executive-level IT support.
They're explicitly calling out that tension.
They are. They're asking, how do you tell a senior official, no, you can't use that app without getting fired? Or even better, how do you find a secure way to let them do what they need to do?
It's customer service meets national security.
Exactly. And the document talks about secure by design. They want security baked in from the start, not bolted on at the end, which, goes back to that infrastructure as code. If you build it right from the code up, it should be secure by default.
Okay, so we've established this is a massive, incredibly difficult job, $150 million ceiling, 5 years. Let's talk about the business opportunity. Who can actually bid on this? The document says it's an 8A set aside.
This is a crucial detail. The 8A program is a business development program run by the Small Business Administration for socially and economically disadvantaged businesses.
So a huge defense contractor, like a Lockheed or a Leidos, they can't bid on this directly as the prime.
Not as the prime, no. They could be a subcontractor, but the government wants to award this to an 8A firm. And that narrows the field significantly.
It's a very specific Venn diagram. You need an 8A company that's sophisticated enough to handle multi-cloud, top-secret clearances, and global logistics.
It is. And the government knows it. That's why they issued this sources sought notice. They're basically asking, do you exist? If so, prove it.
And the proof requirements are strict. They want tangible evidence.
I love that line. Mere assertions of capability are inadequate. You
Right.
can't just write, we're great at cloud. You have to show a contract number, a dollar value, and a client reference who will actually vouch for you.
And you have to do it all in 20 pages.
Which might be the hardest part. Summarizing your entire corporate capability in 20 pages, you have to be absolutely ruthless with your editing.
It forces you to focus on what really matters to the client. And what seems to matter here isn't just technical skill, but also the ability to act as a strategic advisor.
Yes, the ad hoc advisory services. The document mentions advising on budget cycles and acquisition.
Which is so interesting. They're not just asking, fix my computer. They're asking, how should we spend our money next year?
It elevates the vendor from a service provider to a partner. The leadership at State, they're not technologists, they're diplomats. They need someone to translate. If we spend X million on cloud migration now, we save Y million in maintenance later.
So you have to speak the language of government finance.
You do. And they also mention surge operations.
Surge just sounds like code for crisis.
It is. When a geopolitical crisis hits a war, a pandemic, an embassy evacuation, the demand for secure comms spikes instantly. The vendor needs to be able to rapidly scale staffing.
Meaning, we need 10 more top-secret cleared engineers, and we need them yesterday.
And you can't just find those people on LinkedIn overnight. The vendor needs a deep bench or a very, very strong recruiting pipeline. That surge requirement is probably where a lot of smaller firms might struggle.
So if you're a listener running an 8A tech firm, and you're hearing this on January 30th, you've got until February 13th. What's your next move?
You rally the team, you look at your past performance. Do you have a project that looks like this? Maybe not at State, but maybe at DHS or DoD. You have to map your experience directly to these functional areas.
And have your facility clearance paperwork ready to go.
Oh, if you don't have that clearance already, you're not winning this. That's a hard gate.
It's just a fascinating document because it strips away all the glamour of diplomacy and shows you the machinery underneath.
It does.
We see the Secretary of State on the news, shaking hands, signing treaties. We don't see the engineer in the background making sure the secure VTC bridge doesn't crash.
Or the person who made sure the flyaway kit had a charged battery. It's the infrastructure of statecraft.
It reminds me of the requirement for UI/UX informed approaches. We kind of skipped over that, but
Yeah.
it feels significant. They actually want the user experience to be good.
Which is rare for government, but it goes back to security. If the secure email system is impossible to use, the diplomat will just pull out their personal iPhone and send a text.
And then you have a security breach.
And then you have a major security breach. So good design is actually a security feature. In this environment, absolutely. If you make the right path, the easy path, people will take it.
So to recap, we have high stakes, high dollar opportunity for a very specialized small business. The deadline is fast approaching. The mission is critical. And the tech stack is surprisingly cutting edge.
It's a real challenge to the industry. The State Department is basically saying, we're modernizing. Can you keep up?
And for those of us not bidding, it's just a reminder of how digital our government has become.
And it forces you to ask a bigger question about resilience, doesn't it? The State Department is willing to spend up to $150 million to ensure they can operate through any crisis.
It makes you think about your own continuity of government. If your digital life collapsed tomorrow, no cloud, no phone, how long could you function?
Most companies and most people, we don't have a flyaway kit. We are surprisingly fragile.
We just rely on the stability of the grid, of the network. The State Department has to assume the grid and the network will fail and then plan accordingly.
That's the difference between uptime and resilience.
Well, that brings us to the end of this deep dive into the ExecTech sources sought notice. We'll be watching to see who eventually wins this contract later in the year.
It will definitely be a company to watch.
To our listener, thanks for geeking out with us over government procurement. It really is the hidden engine that keeps the world turning.
Always a pleasure.
We'll leave you with this final thought. In the age of digital diplomacy, power isn't just about whose army is bigger or whose economy is stronger. It might just be about who has the better IT support when the crisis hits. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.